Hello and welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night. My name is Maybe Dennis, and last time, well, Sojiro woke up after the very long Witch of Nights. Well, I mean, Nights of Witches. Yeah, that's what it was. And yeah, there wasn't actually much that went on. Sojiro woke up, had a staring contest with Alice because neither of them really wanted to talk. And then Aoko barged in and explained the situation. Sojiro is now a prisoner. He has the right to live, but that's the only thing, and they could be taken away very quickly. Later on, Aoko and Sojiro both went to meet Alice in the drawing room just to demonstrate how quickly his rights to live can be taken away as they put him into a bottle and then take him out. But now we're just kind of doing the post explanation stuff. So let's continue. And so, Sojiro accepted his supervised life in the mansion. Oh right, he's moving in now, because that's the best way that they can supervise him. Make sure he doesn't spread any secrets. And that he would be living under the same roof as the two professional mages. Having experienced firsthand how dangerous that life could get, he was finally at peace with the situation. Even if he did not seem to like it, he had thought it through in his own way and come to a clear resolution.
それじゃあ、やっと本題に入れるわね。監視するとは言ったけど、どうやって宗十郎を監視するのか。そもそもあなたを監視する原因になった魔術とは何なのか。そのあたり。
Whoops, I'll go back.
そのあたり、ざざっと説明させてもらうわ。
Perhaps he was brought up to listen closely to lectures about new information because Sojiro suddenly looked attentive. Alice, on the other hand, kept her mouth shut in silent defiance.
最初に言っておくと、あんたをここに住まわせる期限は決まってるから。
For the rest of your life.
誰にも私たちのことを喋らず、また勝手に死ななければ晴れて自由の身ってこと。ね、そうよね、アリス。
そうね。私たちを怒らせなければ、そういう可能性もあるわね。
The sliver of a chance.
よし、いきなり話が食い違ってる。
Sojiro's head dropped like he knew what was coming.
ちょっと黙ってて、アリス。あとあんたも黙ってろ。
She scowled at the two of them, already at her wit's end.
話を続けるけど、秘密保持のためにあんたを住まわせる場合、二次災害はどうしても避けられない。同じ家にいる以上、余計に秘密を見せることになるからね。アリスは。
I keep skipping it.
同じ家に、アリスはそれが嫌なんだろうけど。
Now that Aoko mentioned it, Sojiro could see her point. With her target of observation under house arrest, the disclosure of more confidential information was inevitable.
ちょっと待ってくれ。堂々巡りじゃないか、それ。
大丈夫、問題ないわ。だって、最後にはここで暮らした記憶ごと、私たちのことを忘れてもらうことにしたから。
Ah, so we're going with that route. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't do that to start with.
忘れてもらう？
そう。公園での一件から丸ごと全部忘れてもらう。ルーンっていう魔術系統があるんだけどね。その中でサクッと記憶を忘れさせるものがあるのよ。非人道的であるのは変わらないけど、命を消す代わりに記憶を消すってことで妥協して。
True.
青崎、それは。
悪いけど反論は却下。で、肝心の忘却のルーンなんだけど。
Oh, that's
私もアリス専門
why.
外だから文献を探して習得するのに時間がかかる。つまりそれが監視の期限ってわけ。私たちが忘却のルーンを見つけるまで命を担保に口を閉じていてもらうわ。アリスはそんなややこしいことはせずに五感全部壊してしまおうなんて言ってるけど。
Oh my god. Just ruin him as a person.
しずきくん、リビングスタチューとか嫌でしょ？
Sojiro only understood about 80% of what Aoko had explained, and the last part about being a living statue had gone straight over his head. He had tried his best to visualize what Aoko was going on about, but the only thing he could conjure in his mind was an image of the mascot creature Kitsy. Why?
それは確かに嫌だな。
Aoko agreed with a bewildered Sojiro. neither one the wiser to the other's misinterpretations. Look at her, she's like, yeah.
とにかく遅くても1ヶ月で忘却のルーンは見つけ出せるだろうし、1回きりの実行ならプラス2ヶ月ぐらいでなんとかなるわ。
Ah, so at most 3 months.
それまであんたにはここで暮らしてもらうわけだけど、私たちについて無知のまま歩き回られると命の保証はできないのよ。そっちもこっちの事情を知らないのは気持ち悪いだろうし。なんで今から簡潔に現代の魔法使いの何たるかを教えてあげる。
That's interesting. They're gonna give him enough information to function living in this house, which is a lot of information about magicians, but they're just gonna take it away from him once he leaves. Huh, I guess that works.
それで少しは私たちへの勘違いもなくなるだろうし。
Not that she thought this country bumpkin had any idea of old or new anyways. The thought brought a smug grin to her lips. Ooh, this is gonna turn out really bad because the information that he's told, he probably won't know whether or not it's just normal city things. So you might accidentally talk to people.
洋館のことは後にして、まずは私たちの立場についてね。あ、でも1から100まで理解する必要はないから。どうせ門外漢なんだし、感じ入ったことだけしっかり噛み締めておきなさい。
Sojiro nodded obediently to Aoko's professional instructions. Wait, professorial? Is it not professional? That might actually be a word. I don't know if that's a typo. This was Aoko's way of telling him not to ask questions when he did not understand something. And though Sojiro had taken issue with her statement, he meekly obeyed, knowing better than to object now. Aoko nodded approvingly at his attentiveness and started her lecture. Her long lecture.
まず魔術師、
Oh god.
魔法使いの話からね。
Alright, here's the exposition episode.
魔術と魔法の違いは宗十郎には関わりのない話だからしないけど、それぞれ別種のものだと思ってくれればいいわ。で、魔術師のことだけど、これは絶対条件として隠された存在でなくてはならないの。
So much for that.
同業者に知られるのは仕方ないとしても、あなたみたいに関わりのない人間に知られるのは罪に当たる。ほとんど死罪クラスのね。なぜかっていうと、魔術ってのは隠されていないと力が薄れてしまうものだから。
Right, that was one of the bases for a lot of the magic in the Magic Tower, or at least in this Nasuverse. It's like the more people know about it, the weaker it is. Which is why I think in one of the episodes of the anime, one of the characters was like, I found information about your magic on the internet, and suddenly it just stops working.
神秘の語源は閉ざすというギリシャ語だけど、魔術は限られた水着でなければ魔術でなくなってしまう。文明にとって未知なるもの、未開なるものは開かれていないからこそ恐怖に値するのと同じね。知られたら迫害されるから隠すじゃないの。未知で亡くなった魔術師というより魔術ね。明かされた魔術は力を弱めてしまう。だから隠匿するのよ。何より私たちの未来のために。
魔術の仕組みはよくわからないけど、とにかく自分だけの秘密でないと弱くなるってことか。じゃあ青崎も弱くなってるのか？俺が見ちゃったから。
Would that also mean that she would get stronger if he dies? Kinda wonder about that.
いいえ、別に。
I'm just too strong.
ここからはちょっと込み入った話でね。弱くなるっていうのはあくまで全体。それも随分と未来の話。個人単位では関係のない話よ。汝、隠匿すべしって不分律は、この大元の仕組みが形骸化して、いつの間にか絶対のルールになっているだけなの。文明社会の法律と一緒よ。犯罪、不道徳を罰するのは人間的であろうとする意識の高さと、それとは全く別の全体の仕組みを守るための構造的な結論でしょ。犯罪が罰せられるのは野放しにしたらせっかく築いた社会がうまく機能しなくなるから。
I don't know if talking to him about a civilized society is the best idea.
で、私たちにとって犯罪にあたるのは神秘の一般化、低俗化であって、 不道徳とか殺人とかはまあそれぞれの良心次第ってことで基本的に罪にもならない。そんなろくでもない連中にルールを敷いたのが魔術協会っていう集まり、組合みたいなものよ。
A labor union for mages.
魔術を普及の神秘とせよというのは魔術を魔術として永続させるために敷いたルールに過ぎないわ。けどその原則は絶対でさ、これを破った者は魔術世界にはいられなくなる。いえ、実際問題として生きていくのが困難になる。私たちは私たちのまあ魔術師としての命、そういうのを守るために目撃者であるあんたを消さなくちゃいけなかった。そこ同情とかしなくていいから。私たちの事情を知ったぐらいで遊園地のことを帳消しにしないでよ。
Yeah, just because you know why we want to kill you doesn't mean that anything's gonna change.
私たちは私たちの判断であんたを殺そうとしたんだから、誰彼のせいってわけじゃない。恨むならきちんと私を恨んでちょうだい。
Oh, she's got these eyes now. The super serious I'm gonna kill you eyes.
ま、それはともかく、過去魔術師は職業として成り立ったぐらい社会に認知されていたけど、その魔術自体は墓まで持っていく秘密だった。それがどう歪んだかは知らないけど、現代ではその職業すら秘密にしなくてはならなくなった。そこまでしないと遠い未来魔術すら消費するだけのものに解体されると教会は恐れたのよ。自然界の仕組みもかつて天上の領域だった宇宙の運営すら私たちは人知で解き明かせるほどになった。人の手に余るもの、神秘という未知の領域にとって魔術が最後の砦になると教会の設立者は信じたのかもしれない。それとも魔術なんてもう意味がないって達観したのかもね。そんなわけで魔術師はその正体を隠して各々の秘技を伝えていった。他人に教えるわけにはいかないから必然的にその伝承者は子孫になる。
That makes sense.
私もアリスもそうやって何代か続いた連中の末なのよ。
I remember one major thing is that the longer the lineage, like the more generations there are, the more powerful the magic is. So I wonder which one is actually longer, the Aozaki or the Kuonji lineage.
さっき言った魔術協会っていうのはそんな細々と続いてる連中を束ねる一大組織。魔術師にとって司法の神ってところかしらね。教会もいろんな派閥に分かれるんだけど、大抵の魔術師はロンドンの魔術協会に属している。汝隠匿すべしっていうのも教会の三大原則の一つよ。魔術師が一般人に秘密を漏らすと教会から罰が下される仕組みになっている。ま、そんな罰なんかなくても自分と血族が伝えた魔術のために目撃者は消さないといけないんだけど。
Gas leak definitely wasn't murder. And that was the end of the first part of the lecture. Alko paused for a moment. Sojiro was doing his best to process the information.
次行くけどいい？
いいけど、その前に確認したい。魔術師が正体を隠すのは自分のためじゃなく魔術のためだったけど、最近では自分の正体を隠すことの方が重要になっている。そしてその決まりを破ると教会というところからお咎めが来る。つまり青崎たちもその教会に入っているのか？
いいえ、私たちはフリーよ。一応教会とつながりはあるけどね。単純に教会は最大勢力ってだけ。連中は頼まれもしないのに魔術世界全体の秩序を守ってるの。だから私たちが何であれ彼らとの関わりがないにしても魔術師としての決まりを破ったら罰しに来るわ。
わかった。大体飲み込めた。
よしよし。
Yoshi
そうやって
yosh.
自分に必要な部分だけ手に入れなさい。じゃ、次は魔術について。と言っても私自身語れるほど学んでいないんだけどね。
ん？
ごめん、こっちの話だから忘れて。
She's only been, a magician or a witch for 2 years, so understandable.
さっきも言ったけど、現代において魔術は無意味なものになりつつある。ライターのない大昔なら火を起こせればそれは魔術として成り立つわ。けど今は何かと便利でしょ。あなたならよくわかると思うけど。
Sojiro nodded with a glum look on his face, or a glum look. He had been made painfully aware of such conveniences. Difficult tasks that would occupy an entire day of work in the mountains could be performed easily here. For him, having been brought up in the mountains without electricity or running water, city life was by definition magic. He only wished that it would not be such a back-breaking work to adapt to said conveniences.
あ、でも道具を使わずに火を起こせるのは神様の仕事だと思うけど。
そのために積み重ねた手間は火炎放射器を手に入れるより面倒だとしても。
Sojiro wasn't sure how to answer Aoko. It would have been easy for him to ask Aoko how much accumulated effort she thought it had taken humans to imitate those gods, but he knew it would come across as an insult.
さっきのを見る限り、魔術ってのは何でもできると思ったけど、それは誤解なのか。
He glanced at the glass bottle on the table. Mentally, he sighed in relief. He's still not come in terms with the fact that he had been trapped inside that tiny thing. However,
あら、それこそ誤解よ。万能じゃなければ誰が魔術なんて学ぶと思ってるの？
Aoko puffed out her chest as she chided him.
手間暇かかるけど魔術にできないことはないわ。中にはできていないけどできているように見せるみたいな何らかのイカサマはあるけどね。この世界に生まれた以上、その許容範囲でできないことなんてないの。そこで魔法が出てくるんだけど、それはまた改めて。私が言いたかったのは、魔術は奇跡を起こしているのではなくて、その過程が奇跡だってこと。結果が奇跡になるのは魔法の方なの。偉大な魔術師っていうのは個人の魔術だけで旅客機飛ばしたりする人のこと。対して偉大な魔法使いっていうのは今不可能なことを可能にする人のことよ。
Okay, so the differences between a mage and a magician.
そういった意味じゃ私たちは最後の魔法使いになるかもしれないけどね。
脱線してるわよ、青子。
Alice had been quietly listening until she muttered her rebuke. As if Aoko had crossed the line.
そこまで教える必要はないでしょう。しずきくんに教えるべきことは、私たちと暮らす上で危険になることだけじゃなかった。
悪かったわ。ちょい口滑らせた。ともかく魔術師っていうのは暇さえあれば魔術の実験をしてる連中で、自分の家系が伝えてきた秘技を守るためなら鬼でも悪魔にでもなる。必然そのアジト工房って言うんだけど、工房も魔術的な機構が積み重なって要塞みたいになっちゃうのよ。秘技を守るために入ってきた相手を問答無用で叩きのめす仕掛けとか。この洋館もそういった工房と同じなの。
Ah, that would make sense. They would probably have a lot of traps, especially given how proficient Alice is at magecraft.
不用心に歩き回ってさっきみたいなことになったら私でも助けてあげられないから、暗闇には気をつけなさい。気がついたら鏡の中にいるとか本気であるから。
Sojiro so hoped that they would provide him with a general idea of what to watch out for, but he passed, knowing that he was unlikely to get a straight answer.
枝葉から入っちゃったけど、要は私たちのプライベートに関わるなってこと。いくら最後には記憶を消すって言っても、それを見られた段階で消すしかないものもあるから。
なるほど。この中にもルールがあることはよくわかった。他に注意すべきことは。
His eyes wandered as he trailed off mid-sentence, pondering. He understood that the mansion was more dangerous than outside, and that magecraft needed to stay secret. But the explanation seemed to contradict his current problem. For starters, how had he managed to witness something that they took such pains to keep hidden?
すまない。話の腰を折るんだけど、魔術師は教会という組織で結ばれてるんだろ？なら、どうして青崎はあんな人形に襲われたんだ？すま
I
ない。
skipped this by
話
accident.
の腰を折るんだけど、いいかな？
Just the ikana. So why were you attacked by that puppet?
あれの持ち主が魔術師なら、君たちは味方同士で争っていることになる。
no,
何か説明が不足
no,
してない
no,
か？
no. That's definitely not the case.
それは最後にしようと思ってたのよ。普通はここまでの話だけで眉唾者っていうか笑い飛ばすっていうか、いくら経験済みだからって魔術なんてもんをあっさり受け入れるなんてできないっていうか。
Ako scratched her head as though troubled by how Sojiro could take every word at face value. Across from her, Alice's face betrayed no expression, but she shared the same opinion.
おかしいのかそれ？
おかしいわよ。そもそもあんたは第一ステップから変だった。
Alco's like, you see what's been annoying me for the past week? It's this dude. It's this dude. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
普通は驚いたり怖がったり無視したりするものなのに、どうして魔法使いだなんて言った私を信じたの？
Because you tried to fire magic bullets at me. In retrospect, this question should have been posed at the House of the Mirrors. Back then, though Sojiro was surprised by seeing the phenomenon of magecraft for the first time, he showed no surprise or discomfort towards Aoko, the mage wielding it. Feeling the probing stares of the two girls, no, the two mages, made Sojiro feel uneasy. From where he was standing, their suspicion was suspicious in and of itself.
なんでも何もない。青崎、山ではね、あるものはあるのが当たり前なんだよ。理由をつけられるだけの知識がなかったからにしても、実際に見たものを信じないなんてことはないんだ。
I guess that could make sense.
それに君も言ったろ。あなたにとっては魔法もライターも同じものなんだろうって。
Thought that... Oh my god. They really didn't do well with the though and thought. Though they weren't really the same to him anymore. He added quietly before shutting up. What he said about those innocent days in the mountains had come from the heart. And the words resonated with not only Aoko Aozaki, but also Alice Kuonji. It was something everyone should have, principles to stand by. Indeed, to this boy, those words were an unshakable truth.
あるものはあるか。
She was impressed, if only slightly. If this boy, no matter how much of an outlier he was, could accept the things around him, he'd be able to get through this just fine.
そうね。宗十郎はそうなのよね。簡単に信じてもらえることが信じられないなんて、私たちの方がどうかしてたわ。
Much like when Aoko met Sojiro for the first time, in that classroom on his first day, Sojiro took everything that was happening in his stride. The memory brought a bitter smile to Aoko's face. Yes, it's approaching dinner, nighttime? Yeah.
じゃ、気を取り直してっと。宗十郎の疑問だけどね。魔術師もいろいろあって、教会に属していない連中もいるの。こういった連中は教会の目を盗んでやりたい放題で、利益目的で他の魔術師に喧嘩を売ってくる。あの人形の持ち主もその類。そんな連中にとって、私たちは都合のいい格好のカモなのよ。私たちは教会と協定関係にあるだけで門下ってわけじゃないから。私たちが殺されたところで教会は助けてくれないしね。
でも魔術師が魔術を使うのは禁じてるんだろ？
それが公にならないのなら教会は目をつむるわ。
It's only cheating if you get caught.
むしろバレなければ魔術師同士の争いを奨励してるぐらいよ。技術も使わないと錆びるってね。ま、私たちが襲われてるのはそれとは別の話で、単に土地を持ってるからなんだけど。
土地ってこの家？
まさかこの岬市一帯の管理地の権利を持ってるのよ。
Oh,
私とアリスは。
the entire city.
管理地ってつまり土地の利権？
Sorry, the timing of that with the song was really good. Like, dun 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 dun. And then Sojiro was like, oh! Dazzled Sojiro looked away. Oh my god, look at his face. Look at his face. Oh, I feel like I've seen that face before. I think it was with like the chibi versions of like the Type Lumine game. With like, I think it was Neko Arc or something. He was sure he could see a halo of light around Hako. He had only been renting an apartment for about 2 weeks, but he was already aware of how magnificent the prospect of owning land in a city might be.
Oh.
The word Sojiro was trying to articulate was rich. He shook all over with an emotion he did not fully grasp.
悪いけどそういうんじゃないから。私たちで土地って言ったら魔術師としての霊地の所有権、支配権のことを言うの。うちはマイナーだけど古くからこの辺りに根を下ろしてた魔術師で、岬町もうちの管理下ってわけ。管理地っていうのはね、霊的な力が歪んで集まりやすい土地のこと。そういう土地は昔から貴重で、魔術の実践、実験には不可欠でもある。成功への絶対条件は優れた霊地、堅固な工房、多くの弟子たちってね。魔術師たちにとって土地付き館付きの住み家を持つのは一つの野望なんだから。
Sojiro let her continue while wondering exactly who these two girls were to have achieved both ambitions already.
でもその管理地は大部分が教会に仕切られてて、もう余っている土地はないの。はぐれ魔術師や土地のない魔術師は教会に毎月寄付金を納めて土地を借りるしかない。ま、手よく教会のお偉いさんたちに尽くす働き蜂ってところね。でもここの土地は何百年も前から青崎のものだから、教会とは関係がないの。ここまで言えばわかるでしょ。そういったフリーの連中からすれば、私たちの管理地はこの上ないごちそうなんだって。
Sojiro nodded to himself, unsure whether to call this conversation mundane or outright disturbing.
よくわかった。青崎たちは土地の奪い合いをしているんだな。
そういうこと。ただ岬の管理地はマイナーのさらにマイナーだから、やってくる挑戦者も三流ばっかりよ。今回の敵だってどっかの三流魔術師がここなら楽に奪えると思ってやってきたんだろうし、ま、それもあんたの乱入で急戦してるんだけど。
I wonder if that's what we saw Alice doing in the 7 Days of Spinning when she fought with like these two automaton things as well. Well, they're kind of different, but they were also kind of mechanical.
管理地の話はそれで十分よ、青子。しずきくんも他に魔術師がいると分かってくれたようだし、危険があるとすれば私たちの戦いに彼が巻き込まれる可能性だけど。
それは大丈夫でしょ。だってこいつ魔力のかけらもないじゃない。魔力感知には引っかからないし、番犬以下の人間は戦力って言わないから狙われることもないだろうし。
It's okay. He's worthless.
私たちはただ忘却のルーンを見つけるまでこいつを逃がさなければいいだけでしょ。
Alice silently stared at her partner down. Their idea of involving Sojiro differed greatly in both gravity and risk. Ako's lack of experience had led her to believe that Sojiro would not get directly involved in any fighting. It was an honest and rational thought. Ako despised wasted action, so it was natural for her to expect the same frugality from her enemies. However, there were those in this world who could not tell right from wrong until it was too late.
先のことは誰にもわからないから、その時になって後悔がなければいいけれど。
That animation. With a gloomy sigh, Alice came to her feet.
ちょっと何のために長話したと思ってるのよ。一番重要なあんたの意見聞いてないんですけど。
あなたがあなたの方針を守るというのならそれでいいわ。私も好きにするだけよ。
Alice glided soundlessly to the door. As the girl in black opened it, she paused, barely lit by the dim corridor. Then, without warning, oh, what the heck? To the rhythm of her footsteps, the small glass bottle floated into the air and shattered without mercy. I want to go back just a little bit to see. Then, without warning. Okay, so the glass bottle wasn't there. I thought that, you know, it was there, I just did not notice.
あの時こうしておけばよかった。
Damn, so savage. Her sharp tone made Sojiro's face go pale. Alice's voice was so quiet, it was hard to tell if she was being serious or mocking him.
私も言い忘れていたけど。
She icily eyed them before turning away, and in a voice even colder than her gaze, stated,
まだ認めていないから。
Oh, that was cold. Her frigid departure seemed to forebode the many difficulties that laid ahead.
たく、往生際が悪い。
Alright, she'd be so pissed about losing Flat Snark, one of the 3 great magics she has. Alko leaned back on the sofa while hurling abusive epithets. Her face looked even more irritated than usual.
見逃すのとここに住まわせるのは別問題よって。じゃあそれ以外にどんな方法があるってのよ。譲る気もなさそうだし、この分じゃ実力行使に出るかもね、あの子。
Sojiro threw a wary glance at Alko while she grumbled. He wondered what Alice's show of defiance meant, shattering the glass bottle like she did.
宗十郎には記憶をなくしてもらうってことで話はつけたけど、心の底から納得してないってことでしょ。アリスにしちゃ珍しく他人を意識してたけど、やっぱりここに住まわせるとなると難しいみたい。寝てる分には良かったけど、起きてるあんたを見たらこうえも言わぬ刺激心を刺激されたとかさ。気をつけてね、宗十郎。
Watch your back.
あの子、あんたを殺しに来るかもしれないから。
If anything, Alko's warning was an indication that persuading Alice had hit a dead end.
なんか状況はあの夜からあまり変わってないようだね、青崎。
She shot him an unconcerned look in reply.
そうじゃないぞ。青崎の次はあの子がやる気満々じゃないか。さっきみたいな目にあったら逃げることもできない。こういうの生殺しって言うんじゃないか。
そうならないように努力するのね。アリスの理由は遊園地の時ほど切迫したものじゃないから、そのうち諦めてくれるとは思うんだけど。
青崎の時とは違うアリスの理由？
ええ、遊園地の時は秘密厳守のためだったけど、それは一応解決してる。あんたが底抜けに律儀なやつだってのはアリスだってもう分かってるし。なんで秘密厳守云々であそこまで反対する理由はないの。あの子は単にね、ここに住んでほしくないだけなのよ。それだけでアリスはあんたを殺したがってる。
Okay, the mage secrecy stuff, I don't really care about that. I think you got it down. But get the hell out of my house! She said so matter-of-factly, her eyes cold and serious. Sojiro had hoped for a trace of deceit or exaggeration, but alas.
確かにあの子はそんな素振りだったけど、変だね。それならもっと他の手段を取ればいいのに。
Perhaps feeling guilty about putting Alice out, Sojiro looked uncharacteristically concerned. Alko immediately knew what his words really meant.
例えば、記憶を消す魔術が見つかるまで、さっきの小瓶の中に閉じ込めておくとか。
The apathy in her voice until now was gone. Sojiro answered with a simple nod. In truth, it was undoubtedly the easiest solution for all parties concerned. However...
宗十郎、私、約束は破らないの。覚え...
Okay, I'm not gonna go back. It's just remember that. She hated taking the easy way out. And that quiet fury was clear in her soft words. As for where that fury was directed, Sojiro was acutely aware. The pain in his chest made him regret making her say those words.
すまない。考えが足りなかった。
His sudden apology caused her usual sullen expression to return. Ako had not appreciated how angry she was, let alone the reason for it. To her, his apology had come out of nowhere.
あんたって、ほんとわかんないわね。なんでそこで謝るのよ。
She stared at Sojiro, unblinking.
あれそうだな。自分でもよくわからない。多分、そういう気分になったからだろう。
Even in saying he was not sure, Sojiro had answered honestly. Ako was at a loss for words.
ただ、青崎の言いたいことは分かった。約束を守るっていうことは、結果じゃなく、家庭を守るってことなんだな。
He shot her a brazenly honest smile. That smiling face, filled with blissful ignorance, almost made her smile back instinctively.
当たり前じゃない。こっちだけ合ってればいいなんて恥ずかしくてできないでしょ。
Alko attempted to cover her embarrassment with a quick retort. Though unintentional, having her true feelings exposed like that made Alko feel a little uncomfortable. Finding offense in something was a second nature to Alko. Being made to feel uncomfortable was not. Though far from being unhappy at the remark, she turned away from its speaker. To disguise her perceived shame, Alko started up the conversation again.
あなたを見逃すって言うなら、気持ちの問題じゃなくて、ちゃんと状況もそうなるようにするのは当たり前なの。宗十郎をここに住まわせることが、あの約束を守ることになるんなら、厄介なアリスだって言い伏せるわよ。脅かすだけならまだしも、ずっと瓶付けなんてさせられるわけないでしょ。
そっか。青崎があの子を説得しない素振りなのは、もうできるだけの説得をした後だからなのか。
They're both so stubborn.
あ、それで彼女とは冷戦中なんだ。
別にあんたのためじゃないわ。私は私のために約束を守ってるだけだし。お察しの通り、私のやるべきことはもう終わってるし。あとはそっちが努力する番だから勝手にすれば。
Huh? He replied, tilting his head.
あのね、いい？同居案を何とか認めさせることができるのは私だけだから、2日間ぶっ通しでアリスを言い伏せもした。けどそれ以上は無理。
Because, hello, I was the only one capable of doing it.
私、ここから先はノータッチだから。しばらくはアリスから守ってあげるけど、その間にあの子にあんたを認めさせることは、あんたにしかできないんだからね。
This house is gonna be on fire in the next 3 hours. What? Sojiro had not expected that at all. What? Alice Kuonji, the girl in black who kept everyone at arm's length. If Alko was a modern-day mage in hiding, then Alice was a bona fide witch from the Middle Ages.
青崎、君、自分がどれだけ難しいことを言ってるか分かってるか？
そうね。私もこの件に関してだけは同情するわ。
Alko stood up from the sofa. This was the end of the discussion, at least for now.
私たちがどんな人間かはおおよそ分かったでしょ。魔術に関してはこれ以上立ち入らない方があんたのためだから、説明はここまでね。で、肝心の今後の方針だけど、3ヶ月間ここで暮らす。当初の目標というより最初の試練は、なんとかアリスに同居人として認めてもらうこと。
試練って言った。今そういう類のことを言った。
It is a trial.
ごまかしてもいいことないでしょ、この手のことは。うまくいかなきゃ粉々なわけだし。
With her cold-blooded remark, Alko started walking towards the door.
あ、そうそう。宗十郎の部屋だけど、3階に用意しといたから。2階のホールの裏側に階段があるから使って。ここは寮ってわけでもないし、時間は自由に使いなさい。
Just be careful that you don't accidentally get stuck in a mirror.
ただし、西館にだけは入らないようにね。東館は私が借りてるから比較的安全だけど、それでも歩き回らない方が無難だわ。ま、基本安全なのはあんたの部屋とここだけよ。
中の説明ってまさかそれだけ？
Alright, good luck. Good chance and luck.
青崎はいろいろおかしい。魔術なんかよりもっと大事な説明があると思う。
He desperately called out to her as she began to leave the drawing room. Ako could not help but pity Sojiro.
せめてほら、案内とか。
面倒なんでパス。おのぼりさんを案内するなんて2回もやれば十分よ。
She's like, I'm not doing this again. I had to do it at school. You're on your own, bud.
起きたばっかりだし、とりあえず今日は部屋で休んだら。朝になったら学校まで案内してあげるから。もっとも、私もそう暇じゃなし。そばについてあげられるのは、期末試験が終わるまでってことで。
So smug.
1週間以内にアリスと仲良くなるなり、弱みを握るなりしないと、まあ、あれよね。
You know, it might be perspective, but her arm looks really small in this. With barely a wave of goodbye, the student council tyrant walked out. He's like, oh crap, I'm so dead. He unconsciously clenched the hand he had raised. Left all alone, he was at a complete loss. Then, as if to encourage him, "Ah, it's Robin. Chirp, chirp, chirp." With the sound of lightly fluttering wings, a blue robin appeared out of nowhere. The tiny chubby bird innocently looked at Sojiro up and down. The blue robin, a bird said to bring happiness according to folklore, flapped its little wings as if to cheer him on. Then, with a flutter, it mercilessly flicked off the lights. Leaving Sojiro alone in the drawing room, Aoko returned to her bedroom. She closed the door into her room, and as soon as she sat on her bed, she was overcome by an unexpected wave of exhaustion. Sojiro had no way of knowing, but she had been preparing for war. In the event that Alice impulsively pulled out a ploy, Aoko had to be ready to react in an instant. She sighed heavily, but not from the fatigue she felt at fighting with Alice.
ちょっと突っぱねすぎたか？
She frowned a dejected frown. What weighed on Aoko's mind was not Alice.
でも甘くするのはあいつのためにならないし。基本おとなしくしてもらった方がいいわけだし。
It would be trouble if he wandered around like he owned the place after all. The safest thing for him would be to if he holed up in his room, too scared out of his wits to leave.
ま、青崎は味方だなんて勘違いされても困るしね。アリス同様、人手なし扱いされた方が楽だわ。
She's like, man, I'm so tired of him. I wish he could treat me like a stranger. She nodded to herself, agreeing with her take on the situation. For the most part, it was a sound plan. If there was a problem, it would be this.
すまない青崎。一つ聞きたいことがあるんだが。
He's like, God damn it. Not 10 minutes had passed since leaving him in the drawing room. For Sojiro to shirk off what she had just said and visit her room so fast, it was like he had no sense of danger at all.
実は外に出たいんだ。
Of course he would ask to leave the house. Alko lacked the energy for a sarcastic barb.
洋館の中は歩き回らないし、用を済ませたらきちんと戻ってくる。ただ、門限とかあったら聞いておこうと思って。
でも、アルバイトには行くのよね。
How did you know? I only have like 7 jobs. Sojiro exclaimed in surprise. when it was Aoko who desired to display her shock at him.
まあいいわ。基本午後10時まで。その時間には必ず屋敷にいること。その後は夜勤に出かけるなり、庭でバーベキューするなり、何でも好きにしていい。それと、玄関に鍵はかかってないから。
気のせいじゃなければだけど、青崎、すごく怒ってないか？
What gives it away?
あんた相手に気を使った自分に呆れ果ててるだけよ。
Why do I
外に出る
bother?
のはいいけど、その前にこの錠剤飲んで。
Sojiro took the purple pill from her outstretched hand and dubiously put it in his mouth. He told himself that it must have been some kind of medicine.
それじゃあ行ってくる。いろいろありがとう、青崎。
You don't even ask what it is?
あっそ。今度は窓から出ていかないでよね。
Sojiro laughed himself all the way to the foyer, unsure of exactly what he had found funny. Aoko watched him go, both indifferent and amazed all at once.
ま、予定が半日早まっただけか。あの薬を飲ませるの、明日の朝にしてあげようと思ったのに。
Would it pain him if he tried to tell the truth? Like, it would make him stop? She huffed, ruffling her hair in exasperation and returning to her room. Oh, right. One thing I want to, ask is, they're trying to do this amnesia memory wiping rune, but, how much of his memory would they wipe? Just the mage stuff? Or, everything past the day where he walked into the incident? Discerning what made Sojiro tick was a waste of brain matter. In all likeliness, he was more concerned about missing 2 days of work than his... that's true. Than his own well-being after being bedridden for 2 days. With the day's work behind him, Sojiro returned to the mansion.
よし。どこを探しても、2階のホールから上がれる階段はここだけだ。
Oh no. It was just before midnight. This was a scene that awaited him beyond the rickety staircase. Oh, so he has a roof, I guess. Not much surprised Sojiro, or rather, being surprised had become normal to him. This scene, however, was enough to leave him speechless. The room allotted to Sojiro. No matter how he looked at it, no matter how he ran it through his mind, was without a shadow of a doubt an attic. The treatment stirred a tinge of anxiety in him. Just as he was about to flop onto the taut sheets of his bed, wondering if he could make this work despite his share of other problems, he noticed an awkward courtesy, so meager as to be useless.
寒かったら重ねて使うこと。これはサービスとする。
The message on the memo pointed to the meticulous personality of the author. The bed had been perfectly prepared. Carefully setting aside the blanket that had been painstakingly placed on the edge of the bed for him in case he needed it, he looked up at the sky. Though faint, the stars twinkled through the skylight. For a mountain boy, that meager light was more than enough for him. The stark contrast with the drawing room had caught him off guard, but now that he had collected himself, it was not so bad. The room fit his personality. Even if he was still not used to the building, he felt more at ease here than he did in any building in the city. Perhaps because it was built on a hill, surrounded by the woods. The atmosphere here was a little closer to the mountains where he used to live.
でも、家の中に霧が出るのはどうなんだろう。
Wait, fog? He crooked his neck, pondering over the spectacle he had witnessed. On the way to his room, Sojiro had encountered what looked like fog in the foyer on the second floor. What the heck is that? The misty fog drifted into a portion of the corridor, reminding him of a swarm of mosquitoes. No, mosquitoes! As he stared at it, he swore he could make out a strange landscape, and as he moved closer to get a better look... Whoa, what is that actually? I had no idea. Oh, it's Rob. Again out of nowhere, here inside of the mansion, a little blue bird darted purposefully in front of him.
鳥？
The bird caught his attention, stopping him in his tracks. But when he looked to check the fog again, the strange scene had disappeared.
この家、隙間でもあるのかな。明日青崎に聞いてみるか。
Man, I bet he was this close to dying already. He muttered to himself as he sat on the bed. Meager as it was, the starlight peeping through the skylight calmed him.
これなら。
This will do. This will work. Exhaling slowly, he laid down. For the time being, he had the essentials needed to live, and his bed was many times softer than it had appeared. Thinking his worries seemed smaller than they were, he quickly drifted off to sleep. Oh, okay. I thought that might have been the end of the chapter. That was a story from when he opened his eyes to when he fell asleep. Just like that, the short night following the long night was over. For one thing was true. Sojiro was an optimist to a fault, but it wasn't the end of the world. Now, let us rewind 5 hours prior to this glutton for punishment going to bed. Is it going to be at work or is it going to be in the house? Oh, it's in the house. 5 hours. It was 7 o'clock in the evening, just after the unproductive discussion between the two mages and the boy had ended. Leaving her roommate and the intruder in the drawing room, the girl walked alone through the foyer. From there, she headed to the west wing. These were Alice Kuonji's personal chambers, in which even her roommate, Aoko Aozaki, seldom dared to step foot. The foyer was illuminated only by pale moonlight. Hard footsteps echoed through the dreary moonlit lobby. In such mansions in Japan, there was no custom for removing shoes at the door. Hence, Alice crossed the foyer in her boots. She only removed them when she relaxed in her bedroom. Suddenly, she remembered something from her childhood. She used to enjoy the feeling of the cold hardwood floor on her bare feet, and would walk around the foyer on particularly sunny days. After her father affectionately scolded her for it, she never did it again.
そうだったわね。青子は結局守らなかった。
She let out a quiet sigh. Alice's new roommate, whom she took on after coming to Japan, would not comply with her instructions.
落ち着かないものはしょうがない。
Aoko would say, changing into her slippers. Aoko might have found it natural to do so, given that she had lived in a typical Japanese house through the middle school, but every time Alice heard her flip-flopping through the foyer, she wanted to cancel their cohabitation. By now, Alice was not particularly bothered by it anymore. Human adaptability was remarkable at times, and ungracious at others. The emotional attachments of the past had proved far too brittle under the weight of reality. A little blue bird was perched on the banister. Its tiny chirping made Alice stop and look its way.
今夜は放っておくわ。今は青子の問題よ。
How about no? I'm gonna go there right now. The lack of feeling in her voice made the bird tilt its head as it sang. Tweet, tweet, tweet. It thrilled as though questioning its master's uncharacteristic leniency.
約束は約束よ。今夜ぐらいは多めに見ないと。青子と彼はそれだけの活躍をしたのだし。
She said to the bird, her voice betraying her discontent. If you win, I'll let you go. She would keep that promise in spite of the unquenchable desire to fight that burned in her chest.
でも、その後の処遇は別の話。
Just one day.
条件付きのゲームに勝ったぐらいで、いつまでも得意げでいられるのは心外だわ。
Perhaps it was perfectionism born of fastidiousness, but despite her prim demeanor, Alice Kuonji was a sore loser. It did not matter to her whose magecraft was superior. Losing the game had proven hard to move on from. The little bird fluttered its wings in agreement. Drinking in Alice's contempt, it was itching to dive bomb the to dive bomb the invader just head first, like meow. It looked like a soldier saluting a superior officer. It had preened itself. As it preened itself. The blue bird turned to face its master. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Its light-hearted tweeting seemed to display a desire to deal with Sojiro first thing in the morning.
そうね。理由さえできたのなら、瓶なり本なりに入ってもらいましょう。
Except, her words lacked any bite. On the face of it, they were the chilling kind one might come to expect from a witch's lips, but then again, so tame as to remind you of a certain robin's flapping.
しばらくの話よ。けど、それも一時だけ。私の我慢も長くは続かないし。だいたい、青子も人にかまけていられる立場じゃないわ。5日もすれば思い知るでしょう。そうすれば。
I'll give Alco 5 days before she snaps and kills him. When that time came, expelling him would be simple. Alice was well aware that her roommate was a pragmatist with no vision. The situation she'd create would not allow her to wait around. She could only afford to protect that boy for 3 or 4 days at most. Beyond that, Alice sensed Aoko would crack and say something like, "You take care of this, Alice."
それまで待つか。あるいは、私の我慢が効かなくなるか。どちらにしても、結果は変わらないわ。
Alice Kuonji would suffer no more irritations, and protecting a witness, let alone allowing them to live in her mansion, was an indignity. Oh, she set off the fog. Alice looked up, fascinated by the dense fog that had crawled up in the foyer. Oh, wait, maybe not. Above the fireplace was a single mirror. Roughly 3 feet in diameter, it decorated the wall where one might find a painting. Its surface was faintly clouded and vaguely reflected the foyer's appearance.
スナークをなくした影響でしょうね。鏡の機能、しばらくは制御できないみたい。
Oh, okay, so is that another familiar? Or is that like just a way of communicating? The little boy joyfully chirped at its master's mumblings. The bird attempted to imply that there was no need for her to lift a finger, not if the nuisance would fall into the mirror of his own accord. Or perhaps, had the little bird not sang, Alice would have come to the same conclusion. For some reason, she recalled an earlier conversation.
これでも一番無難だと思う。
In response to her question, the boy inside the bottle shrugged his shoulders and answered. From his perspective, the city and the mansion were no different. Oh, it seemed that having just moved from the countryside, everything was something he had never seen before.
自慢できることじゃないが、まだ書き物さえ満足にできないし、都会のルールは複雑すぎて、何が正しいのかさえ区別がつかない。
More than embarrassment, his voice was full of resentment. He was angry about something, though Alice could not tell what. But
だから、どこにいても危ないことに変わりはないんだ。
ah, that's his response to her question. That's why they hid it from us, to pull this flashback off.
極端な話、道を歩くだけでも、人と話すだけでも不安になる。俺は、どこでだろうとうまくやっていける保証はないんだよ。けど、ここにはそんな奴に気を使ってくれる人がいる。気遣ってくれる理由は物騒なものっぽいけど、それは本当に贅沢なことだと思うんだ。
I want to know more about his life in the mountains because it seems like he's definitely experienced a lot more than, just life in the mountains. Here it says, there's someone that might show concern for a person like me. Sure, my reasoning is a little bit messed up, but I've never known such luxury. Because that implies that he's never had anyone that cared for him, which is very weird to, grow up in the mountains like that. Her eyes welled up ever so slightly. Those soft words were something that she could not brush off, because they made sense to her. Given that everything in the city was a danger to him, nothing had changed after coming to the mansion. In reality, he had no reason to fear this place in particular. If anything was different from the outside, it would be that someone here was his ally. With that view, he had been entirely sincere. His explanation hadn't contained any flattery towards Alice Kuonji, nor any more pondering. There's so many typos. Nor pondering to Aoko Aozaki. He was simply speaking from the heart. I like it here.
今鏡に迷い込まれるのは迷惑ね。
Oh, she changed her mind.
鏡の機能は侵入者の探索に専念させたいし、彼が迷い込みそうになったら止めてあげて。
Oh my god. He was that close to dying. The bird shook its feathers at her strange instructions. Alice looked away from the mirror and continued her walk. The bird chirped in protest.
あなたの仕事よロビン。それぐらいの役には立って。
Leaving the bird with the icy retort, she vanished into the west wing. All that remained was the moonlight. And the little blue bird, trembling at a perilous prospect of unprecedented change. Wow, okay. That was, timing-wise, that was perfect. Oh man, Sojiro's gonna die. He's probably like a step away from death every single day, whether in the city or in this household or right next to Aoko or Alice. He's just so close to biting the bullet. Oh, but let's see if there's anything in the archive. There might be. Oh no, there isn't. I'm surprised there isn't, because this seems like the time where they might have some side stories, because now they're kind of in a spot where things are back to the status quo, except, he's living with them now. Maybe after a chapter where it shows him living with the three girls, it'll start having more side stories and extras. Because this 7 days of spinning really felt like it came out of nowhere. But yeah, we'll continue with the next chapter next time. It's called Are You For Real? I'm not exactly sure what to expect next time. I'm expecting more school stuff at the very least. Exams are coming close, so I'm also very curious how much Aoko will be able to stand, because like, man, her fuse is very short when it comes to Sojiro. But yeah, we'll do the next chapter next time, and until then, I will be seeing you. See ya.